Hi, I'm Rosie.
And I'm Carmen.
And we're Bones UK, and you're watching Records in My Life.
Guys, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
How is life?
Life is so good.
Very good.
Life is good?
We're on a tour with Tom Morello at the moment, which is just mind-blowingly cool. So we are loving life. Everything's amazing. And we're now in Canada.
Welcome.
Which is
We're happy
so
to have
cool.
you.
We're happy to be here.
Tell us about your latest release. Who worked with you on it? The name of it?
Our album's called Bones UK.
It's the first record we put out, so we took ages sort of like working out what that album was something we wanted to do. We met the right label. It's a label called Sumerian, who are amazing, and then when we met them we sort of thought the right thing to do would be to put out an album, so we just put it out recently. It's the first thing we've kind of ever done. We just did singles before then.
That's the date of the release.
We got drunk tattoos.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But you were talking about your producer
Yeah.
before. Who helped you? Who do you work with on
So
the album?
So Bones is me, Carmen, and a guy called Filippo Cimatti, who's our producer. So he's who we work with. It's us three wrote every song. He produced every song. We did most of them at home, and yeah, that's how we did the album. It's very DIY. We like it that way.
And what's your favorite songs on the record, if you could each pick one?
Ooh,
and why?
I like Blackbird. Blackbird's like the ballad. I think that's the most sort of like sensitive thing that I've ever written. So I love that one.
I like Souls.
We like the sensitive ones.
We're actually sensitive.
We're actually very sensitive.
Well, everybody's sensitive to a certain, has a bit of it. But what do you like about that song so much? I know you're sensitive, but
I
well, I don't know you're sensitive. You're saying you're sensitive.
I can tell you're sensitive.
I can tell.
I cry.
No, I like from the melodies, from the lyrics that Rosie wrote, and everything in the chords, and just the way the song moves. It moves me.
Good. The Records of My Life is a show about you, the artist, and the records which you have been inspired by and loved.
Yeah.
So let's get down to the nitty gritty. You guys, first of all, you were asked by Howard Stern to cover a David Bowie song, which is amazing. Tell us which Bowie song and what album was it from?
Oh, wait, it's I'm Afraid of Americans.
Yes.
What's the album?
I have no idea what album it's from. Should
you
we
know?
look it up? No
He
idea.
did it with Trent Reznor.
It was one of the latest.
It's much later.
Do you have a favorite David Bowie record?
All of them. I love Bowie. We both love Bowie.
Yeah, Bowie's one of our favorites. I love everything that he does. I love everything that Bowie does. Have you got a favorite, baby?
I'm blanking out now on the titles of all the albums.
I don't know.
You made my brain go completely. Ziggy Stardust. I mean,
That was my favorite.
Heroes or
You say
Hunky
something.
Dory?
I know this isn't like appropriate for a show about records, but I'm not like an album girl.
That's okay. That's fine.
I
You're a
know. I'm
singles.
so
You like
sorry.
singles.
I'm a
No, but-
singles girl, and it's not. And Carmen's much more of an album girl, but I'm really about songs. So for me, like I've always like picked and choose the best songs. And I used to make compilation. My dad or I used to make myself compilation things with like whatever my favorite songs were of like all the different David Bowie albums that I loved. So I've never been like, oh, I love that one record. For me, I'm more of like a build your own sort of like smorgasbord of things. I'm
like
sorry,
that word.
I know that's sacrilegious on a show about records.
It's not sacrilegious at all. But a lot of people they talk about singles as well.
Really? Okay, amazing.
Sure. But I'm curious again. Forgive me, I didn't hear maybe, but tell me about how did you guys hook up with Howard Stern? Because he asked specifically for you guys, right, to do the song?
He was doing this thing for David Bowie's birthday, and he was like getting all of his famous friends together to come and do it. And then they wanted like a new band. I think a guy called Vinny from Sirius. Who's amazing. He Octane, yeah, and he was a fan of ours, and he just put our name in the hat, and then Howard heard us and liked us, which is mental. So then we ended up we were like the unknown new band doing the song. And I'm Afraid of Americans is such an appropriate song for us to do, being English and or being European and slightly scathing sometimes about some things. one thing about America.
Another great story is Jeff Beck approached you and you wrote. I think you wrote half his
we wrote the whole record.
You wrote the whole record.
Yeah. Loudhailer.
Loud.
I remember that name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
We wrote it.
Do you remember a Yardbirds record or a Jeff Beck record or a Jeff Beck song? Which
Machine Shop. Wait, what is it? It's Guitar Shop.
Guitar Shop? Yeah, that rings a bell.
Sure.
Wait. Come on. My favorite Jeff one is
Singular.
Commotion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can always. He had another famous one, but I'm not. And how did that
Blow by
one?
Blow.
How did the Jeff?
Blow by Blow is a great album.
Pardon?
Blow by Blow.
Oh, Blow by Blow. That's one.
That's my favorite. There we go.
So how did the Jeff Beck? How did that come about? Because that's a great. So he's a legend. He was in the Yardbirds and Jeff Beck.
Yeah.
I played with Clapton, right? And he played with.
He played with everybody.
So how did that?
I met him at a party, and then I said, "Would you like to come see my band play?" And we didn't expect him to turn up, but then he turned up, and he just turned up at our show, and there was like about 10 people, and he really liked it. He actually stayed for the whole show.
Which apparently was like very rare from his wife. It's like he never stays for the whole show. And then he went out, we went for like an Indian meal at the end of it, and he said, I've got this tour booked with Buddy Guy supporting, but I need a record. He said, we're playing like Madison Square Gardens and like Hollywood Bowl, but I don't have an album to promote. Would you guys write my record with me? And we were like, yeah.
He's like one of my heroes as well, so it was just like, okay.
It was mental. And then like a month later, we were on the road, we'd written the record, and then we were on the road with them. It was very cool.
It's an amazing story. I mean, legendary.
Yeah.
Like, Howard Stern's a legend in his own, and Jeff Beck. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Now, we asked all our guests this: when you're writing or listening to music, what helps you appreciate it or gets your creativity going? Weed, wine, or water?
Oh, is it going to be those three?
One of the
Wine.
three.
Water. Not weed. Weed's out for sure.
Weed's out. We don't
smoke weed.
Unfortunately, we're not cool.
Wine or water?
Well, wine, we might fall asleep.
The thing is it's a fine line, isn't it?
Tequila.
Drinking, tequila more,
Good
like
choice.
liquor. Because you got to like ride that wave with wine, and like with that, when you're drinking and creating stuff, there's like a sweet spot for a bit, and then suddenly you just fall off the edge, and you're just too drunk to do anything. And then you start thinking that things are good that aren't good, and then you listen back to it, you're like up for like 5 a.m. You're like, that was like the best song I've ever written. You listen back the next morning, you're like, or you just never want to ever listen to it again because you're like,
So you have to find the balance between water and
I think
wine.
water. Yeah.
That's right.
Start with water, and then when it gets dark and later into the night, have a bit of wine to see if there's anything else that comes out.
And then a shot of tequila.
Good plan.
Yeah.
Good plan. So, what would you consider the song of your generation? I know we don't have to talk. We usually ask album, but you can tell me what would the song be for you.
Gosh. Oh, that's a good one. I love that one. Say it.
Ain't No Rest for the Wicked.
That's really cool.
Cage the Elephant.
And I think Arctic Monkeys for me is like represents a huge generation thing for, especially like being English, like a lot, like oh my god, when that came out, that fucking sorry to swear, that coolness of that guitar riff, and then with the way, the vocal comes in, it's so cool. And
I mean,
think
the
there's
lyrics, like so you said, you're a lyricist. Like the first record, especially, is
insane.
so like stories about England, right? Which we
Yes,
understand
and it's
completely.
conversational, which is, and I always love that kind of like human element to it. I love that conversational element where it's not kind of pretentious. It's very just talking, but he does it in such a way that's just like, he is the best.
And thank you again so much for being on the show. Last week, we like to get some words of wisdom from our guests. A joke, a shout out.
A shout out, a words of wisdom. Bub,
If you're going through hell, keep going.
That's a good one.
Thanks.
I told you intelligent people sit here. That's what I'm.
One more time.
Okay, you ready?
Please stop.
Hi, I'm Rosie,
And I'm Carmen.
and we're Bones
Bones
UK,
UK.
and you're watching Records of My Life. Shit.
Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe.
And if you're really feeling it, please hit us up on Patreon. Cheers.